Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing, should you tell your ex how you feel? I provide audio coaching to help people try and get their ex back or get a new girlfriend or boyfriend. Check out my website for more details. www.dateme.tips. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast, and today we are discussing, should you tell your ex how you feel? If you have been through a breakup, it's very natural to be wondering if and when you should tell your ex how you feel. In today's podcast, I'm going to be giving 3 pieces of advice for if you should tell your ex how you feel. So let's get straight into this. And number 1 is advice for dumpers. So number 1 is advice for dumpers. If you are a dumpee, please keep listening because I will be getting on to you very shortly. So advice for dumpers. So you have obviously ended the relationship. That is why you are a dumper. And at that time of the breakup, you would have made your feelings clear as for why you ended the relationship. At this moment in time, you and your ex both understand that you no longer want to be in this connection. But as time moves forward, if you've decided that you made the wrong decision and you now want to reconnect with your ex, what do you do? And should you let your ex know how you feel? Well, yes, if you are a dumper, then I certainly suggest that you need to let your ex know how you feel. You've got to understand that at the time of a breakup, it was very clear by your actions that you didn't want to be with your ex. So you need to be letting them know that you have now changed your mind. Now, you don't want to be wording it as precisely as that. That sounds quite cold. That sounds like almost a business transaction. You decided to end the relationship, now you've changed your mind. It sounds quite cold. It sounds not really the type of thing that a dumpee would likely want to hear. You want to be explaining yourself with a little bit more depth, a little bit more feeling than just putting basic words such as that. I do suggest, but as a dumper, if you want to try to get your ex back, you need to contact your ex, ideally via text message, via messaging app, something which is low pressure, something which is not going to shock your ex like a phone call, or if you just stand at their door, knocking on their door and they answer and you're there. That can be quite jarring. So I do suggest to dumpers that you send your ex, the dumpee, a text message or via a messaging app. And in this message, you need to be explaining your thoughts and feelings. You need to be explaining that you are sorry for what has happened in the past, that you are now in a position where you want to speak again. You want to see how things go. You've got to use your own words. You can't use mine. That won't make a lot of sense if you don't really sound like yourself. You need to be apologizing. You need to be explaining yourself. And you need to be at the end of a message asking your ex to get back to you if they would like to speak about this. You need to leave it as basic as possible towards the end. Don't add pressure. Don't start asking them on a date ASAP within this message. Just say to your ex, the dumpee, at the end of this message, if you would ever like to chat again, then please get back to me. Something as basic as that at the end will be very, very well received because it allows the dumpee to think about everything. And if they want to get back to you, then they will. And you will know from that moment on that you can move forward, have a conversation, and hopefully meet again. But the main element of a message, that needs to be a bit more than basic. That needs to be something a little bit more thorough, explaining your thoughts, apologising for the breakup and saying why you did what you did, why you feel this is a mistake. Just giving your dumpee some explanation at this point, and this should enable you to then finish the message off, whether if you want to chat again, please get in contact, and then you implement my version of the no contact rule. So most people speak about the no contact rule in regards to dumpees, but my version of the no contact rule is also for dumpers if and when they send the initial message out. It is different for both dumpers and dumpees. This is not something that you should be doing if you're a dumpee. You shouldn't be sending a message out there, but you will be implementing my version of the no contact rule initially after the breakup, whereas the dumper needs to send a message first. If you want to learn more about my version of a no contact rule, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, please ring the bell for notifications, and you can familiarise yourself in depth about what I believe in and what I try to teach people, as I believe it is the best chance you have of success of getting your ex back. So now let's move into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast about should you tell your ex how you feel. And point number 2 is advice for dumpies. So if you are a dumpee, as I've just mentioned, at the time of a breakup, you need to be implementing my version of the no contact rule. And hence, at this moment in time, you shouldn't be letting your ex know how you feel. Now, this is something that you should have actually done during the breakup. People get confused about the no contact rule. The no contact rule should be implemented once the dust has settled, once it's clear that the breakup has taken place. At the time of a breakup, whether this is face-to-face, whether this is on the phone, whether this is through messaging, the dumpee has every right to query the breakup. They have every right to say what they feel, explain their thoughts, and yes, I do suggest you try and stay emotionally stable, but it is an emotional time, and you are more within your rights to speak about your feelings at this time. You know, say, I don't want this relationship to end. What can we do to work through this? Apologise if it's something you genuinely need to apologise for. These are the things you should be doing during the breakup. Once the dust has settled, once it's absolutely clear that the breakup has happened, you need to implement my version of the no contact rule. You should never contact your ex again unless your ex contacts you first, except for a few exceptions, which I go through in other podcasts. But most of the time, if you've been dumped, you should never contact your ex again unless your ex contacts you first. So at that moment, you no longer need to be explaining to your ex how you feel. And additionally, this is something you need to bear in mind if and when you hear from your dumper again. If your dumper sends you a message, this isn't licensed to start saying to them, I've missed you so much, I can't live without you, all of these type of things. You need to stay emotionally stable. The communication stage needs to be navigated effectively, and you don't want to be going over dramatic, you don't want to be showcasing yourself as desperate, as needy, as low value. So it's very important a dumpee understands, at the time of a breakup, yes, tell your ex. At the moment, it's kind of a bit blurred. You might say in the breakup, are they your ex? Are they your partner? Well, during that time, you can tell them how you feel. But after the breakup, you should never contact your ex again unless they contact you first. And if they do contact you, you want to be showcasing yourself as happy, carefree, fun, and stable-minded. Of course, if you get back together, then there are likely going to be times where you do talk things through and you do showcase your feelings and how you felt. But at the time of getting that first message, things are still sensitive. Things can still go either way. And this is not the time for you to regurgitate all of your emotions on your dumper at the time they've reached out to you, because this could scare them away. You want to stay cool, calm and collected if and when you hear from your dumper. Now, this doesn't mean you want to be cold. Absolutely not. You need to showcase that you want to engage in conversation. You want to showcase that you would like to meet. But you shouldn't be somebody who's going over the top, gushing with only how you can live a fulfilled life with your ex, for instance. Don't say those type of things. Let your ex understand that you will be happy with or without them. You can live your life with or without your ex, and you will have a successful, fulfilled future, whether or not they are in it. So don't be too cold, but don't be over the top if and when you hear from your dumper. And then if you get to meet, if you start to reconnect, yes, of course, you will have heart-to-hearts and you can explain more so how you are feeling then. But you have to use your common sense. Just don't go overboard during the time of reconnection. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about should you tell your ex how you feel. And point number 3 is dumpee advice if they were dumped for being cold. So sometimes I have dumpies ask me, what should I do? Because I was dumped for being cold. I was dumped because my former partner didn't believe that I showcased enough emotion. I didn't showcase enough romance. I didn't show them enough love. That is why I was dumped. So what do I do now? How can I show them that I want to move forward in a different way, that I do love them, that I want to showcase for romance, that I want to showcase all of these things. What can I do? How do I speak to them about this? So in essence, I still believe the same thing, that if you've been dumped, you should never contact your ex again unless your ex contacts you first. And hence, just because you was dumped for being cold, that doesn't mean you should be chasing your ex after the breakup, begging, pleading, and saying how much you love your ex. I don't believe that will be successful most of the time. I believe that at the time of a breakup, no matter what the reason was that it started to take place, no matter what the reason is, that your ex lost romantic emotional attraction, at the time of a breakup, the level of attraction is so low that it is done. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter what you explain. The level of attraction is too low to be swayed at that time. I believe that the best way of growing romantic emotional attraction is to implement my version of a no contact rule. And hence, even if you was dumped for being cold, of course, at the time of a breakup, like I said in point number 1, you can explain your feelings. You can say, I'm so sorry that you feel I was being cold. I don't believe this. I thought I was showcasing you love. I will change this in the future. Of course, at the time of a breakup, you can explain this. But no, I still don't think that gives you the scope to reach out to your ex after you was dumped and start to give grand gestures, for instance. You shouldn't be doing this, in my belief. If and when you are dumped, it doesn't matter for what reason, you need to implement my version of a no contact rule and grow romantic emotional attraction that way. That will be your best chance of growing attraction no matter what reason you were dumped. If and when your ex contacts you, if and when you get to meet again, then showcase a more loving side to yourself. Showcase that you're more interested in your ex than you showed before. Actions speak louder than words, but your ex has to want those actions. When you are broken up, your ex doesn't want you to send them flowers. Your ex doesn't want you to send them a gift. The relationship is over. If and when they want to meet you again, then this gives you an opportunity to be the type of person that they felt you wasn't before. This doesn't mean that you go over the top. This doesn't mean on your first date that you present them with the largest gift. You've got to use your common sense, but you can show subtly that you are somebody who is willing to be romantic now. You can show that you aren't cold, that you do have a heart, that you are loving. You can show this without going too over the top. What I always say is, please use your common sense. Sometimes your situation won't be precisely as I describe, and you can't follow every single thing to the letter. Sometimes you're going to have to use your own common sense and understand where you are in comparison to what I'm explaining, and try to create a scenario which matches it as best as possible. But in essence, if you are a dumpee, it doesn't matter if you was dumped for being cold or if you was dumped for any other reason. I believe that after the breakup, you should never contact your ex again unless they contact you first. And that means that you shouldn't be somebody who is telling your ex how you feel after the breakup. If you're a dumpee, you tell them at the time. You might tell them in the future if and when you reconnect, but you don't tell them after the breakup. If you are a dumper, then you must let your ex know how you feel after the breakup. You must send them a message, explain your feelings, and ask them to contact you if they would ever like to speak again. Then you, the dumper, go into no contact as well. This is my belief. This is what I believe will give you the best possible chance of success. Nothing works 100% of the time and nothing fails 100% of the time. All we can do is give ourselves the best possible chance of success by doing enough of the right things. If we do enough of the right things, then it's win-win. We will either get our ex back or we will find somebody even better. Move forward with positivity and you will find success, happiness and fulfillment with or without your ex. With or without your ex, you will have a positive future. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.
Yeah, if you miss your ex, we can help with that. Help you get him back, or we can help find you someone else. Yeah, Vincent, the relationship coach, giving you some insight, bringing you a new approach. DateMe.tips, go and check the site, giving you advice, helping with your love life. Get your ex back, or move to the next. Ain't no sweat, you know Vincent got you. Finding love ain't no problem. Yeah, DateMe.tips, check it out now.